Hi, this is Chris Boudreaux at South by Southwest 2014 with Sabrina Stoffregen from Intel. She runs the Employee Ambassador Program at Intel, which is pretty cool and ahead of the market in a lot of ways. So we're happy that you could make some time to sit down. Appreciate it. I wanted to talk about a couple of things with you. One is, you've done some interesting things around moving away or augmenting, at least making some changes in historically using people who demo the product as professionals who are trained and very good at that, to actually using more regular employees, and had some really interesting success with that. So I'd love to hear what you guys did and how that played out.
Yeah, of course. So we did something a little bit different last year. We created these pop-up experiences, sort of these short-term installations all around the world. That we were in Beijing and Sao Paulo and London and all kinds of great places, where we wanted to reintroduce Intel, the brand, and our products to the consumer. Normally what Intel would do, as most companies I would suspect, is to hire local demo experts to demo our products. And they're brilliant, right? I mean, this is what they're trained to do. But I had this idea that I had Intel ambassadors at every single one of the places that we were going to have these pop-up experiences. And I thought, what if we were to activate our Intel ambassadors and to train them to be demo experts? But what I thought would be different about that experience is that they would be able to tell the why story of our product and our history and our brand. So they are the ones that actually made the product, that marketed the product, that engineered the product. And the results were spectacular. They were spectacular. What we found is when we surveyed the customer experience at these pop-up experience stores, is that they really engaged longer and more deeply when it was an Intel employee versus a demo expert. And so from a consumer perspective, that was wildly successful. From an employee perspective, seriously, the ambassadors were honored that they were chosen to have this experience, a direct experience with the consumer. So that was really outside of their normal day job. Instead of being in a validation lab, they were out talking to the customer. So they got, a fabulous trip to Beijing, and, they got to speak to the customer. And also what we noticed is that they brought that information, that experience with the consumer, back to the labs. So they brought that firsthand knowledge of what the consumer was asking for and looking for back to the labs, which really influenced our product design.
It's fantastic, because so many brands talk about being connected to the customer, but then they stick all these things in between themselves and the customer to create that connection. It's kind of crazy, right? It was, well, why don't we just go let the employees talk to people?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So then, more strategically, or sort of longer term, as you think about your program, and you've been working on this for how long? Is it 2 years? Okay. So how do you see, or how have you seen, and how do you see going forward the thinking of the organization around how this needs to relate to the rest of the business, the value of this, what should it do, or how should it create value, and how should it tie into the business? How is that? What are you kind of seeing as you look forward?
So one of the things that we want to do with this program really is to scale. So we started small. We started relatively small, 300 people out of 100,000. That's small, and we grew that when we had the Tablet Smart Squad, and we actually have done 4 other Smart Squads since then. We've done all-in-ones, two-in-ones, smartphones. So we really have expanded, and I think we've hit about 2,000 now employees who have been engaged in that process. But we need to scale more. So if you look at the adoption curve, you'll know that you need a 16% portion of your population to really hit that tipping point. That's 16,000 people at Intel. I'm not close yet. So I have to think about, how do we scale in a way that makes sense and will have impact? So one of the things that we're thinking about is how to tap into those passionate employees. And at Intel, we have something called an employee resource group, or employee resource groups. They're basically like-minded people that come together because they have a common interest or a common passion point. It could be women at Intel is one example of a employee group. And those people tend to be extremely passionate about Intel, about our brand, about our story. And so we're thinking about how to tap into them. to really expand our ambassador base. So that's one thing that we're doing. Our new CEO has given our employee groups a challenge, not really a mandate, it's a challenge, saying that he loves the energy and the synergy of what happens in the employee groups, but he wants them to tie whatever they're doing back to the business. That's something that they haven't done before. So we were thinking from an ambassador perspective, we really have that connection back to the business, and we could really help engage the employee groups and help them activate in that way.
Yeah, very powerful. So it'll be exciting to watch. Thanks so much for making the time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.